Leadership is not just a title. It's a way of thinking, acting, and influencing others. Some people are naturally charismatic. Others are strategically intelligent. But the most effective leaders share something deeper. They cultivate habits that shape their daily choices, their mindset, and the impact they have on the people around them. Over the course of this journey, we'll explore 5 habits that separate highly effective leaders from the rest. These habits aren't just tips you can read and forget. They are practices that, when consistently applied, transform ordinary leaders into extraordinary ones. The first habit is clarity of vision. Leadership begins with vision. Without it, even the most talented, motivated, and hard-working individuals drift aimlessly, reacting to circumstances rather than creating the future they desire. Vision is a cornerstone of leadership. It defines a path, inspires action, and shapes decisions. Highly effective leaders are not just people who manage tasks. They are people who see clearly where they are going, understand the impact they want to make, and communicate that vision in a way that resonates with others. When we talk about clarity of vision, it's essential to understand that vision is not the same as a goal. Goals are targets, measurable and often time-bound. A vision is bigger. It is a vivid picture of the future you want to create, a story of what life, your organization, or your community will look like if you succeed. Think of a lighthouse guiding ships through dark and stormy nights. A goal is a light beam at a particular point. A vision is a lighthouse itself, steady and unwavering, showing the way through uncertainty. Highly effective leaders take time to reflect deeply on their vision. They ask questions that most people avoid. What is my purpose? What legacy do I want to leave behind? How do I want the world, or even just my team or my family, to remember my contribution? This reflection is not a one-time activity. It is a daily, ongoing practice. They journal, meditate, discuss with mentors, and continuously refine their understanding of what matters most. Vision is not static. It evolves as leaders grow, as circumstances change, and as their understanding of the world deepens. Consider Nelson Mandela, a leader whose vision transformed a nation. During his years in prison, he could have focused solely on survival or personal bitterness. Instead, he kept a clear vision in mind: a South Africa free from apartheid, a nation united despite decades of division. This vision shaped every decision he made, every action he took, and ultimately inspired millions. His clarity of vision was not just personal. It became a beacon for an entire country. Without such a vivid and unwavering picture of the future, Mandela's leadership might have been far less impactful. The process of creating a clear vision begins with understanding the present reality. Leaders must know where they are before they can see where they are going. This requires honest assessment of themselves, their teams, and their environment. What strengths can be leveraged? What weaknesses must be addressed? What opportunities exist? And what threats loom? Highly effective leaders analyze these questions not to dwell on problems, but to build a foundation for the future they aim to create. A clear understanding of the current state allows vision to be realistic, actionable, and inspiring. A clear vision also provides focus. The modern world is filled with distractions, endless meetings, social media, urgent tasks, and competing priorities. Leaders without vision react to these distractions. Leaders with vision act intentionally. They evaluate every decision, opportunity, and challenge against their vision. Does this move me closer to my ideal future, or is it a detour? Highly effective leaders make hard choices, sometimes saying no to opportunities that seem attractive but do not align with the bigger picture. This focus is not rigid, but it is deliberate. Vision acts as a filter, allowing leaders to conserve energy and resources for what truly matters. Communication is another essential element of clarity of vision. A vision is only powerful if others understand and embrace it. Leaders who struggle to articulate their vision often fail to inspire. Words alone are not enough. A vision must be expressed with authenticity, passion, and clarity. Leaders use stories, metaphors, and examples to make the future tangible. Instead of merely stating, "We want to grow our company," a leader might describe a day in the life of a client or team member after the company has achieved its full potential. This makes the vision concrete, relatable, and motivating. Take Elon Musk, for example. His vision of a future where humanity becomes a multiplanetary species is both ambitious and clear. He does not merely talk about rockets or electric cars. He paints a picture of a sustainable future, where humans can live on Mars, reduce carbon emissions on Earth, and transform transportation. This clarity of vision has inspired his teams, investors, and the public alike. People don't follow leaders for tasks. They follow leaders for the future they promise to create. Clarity of vision also requires alignment with values. A vision devoid of principles is hollow. Highly effective leaders ensure their vision reflects their core beliefs and ethics. This alignment builds authenticity and trust. When a leader's actions match the vision, people believe in them. When actions contradict the vision, credibility is lost. Leaders frequently reflect on questions like, does this vision honor my values? Does it serve the greater good? Will it stand the test of time? Values act as a compass within the broader vision, ensuring decisions remain consistent and principled. Another key aspect of vision is imagination. Highly effective leaders have the courage to see possibilities beyond current limitations. They ask what if and why not. They challenge conventional thinking, envisioning outcomes that others might deem impossible. This creative imagination is not reckless. It is grounded in understanding, analysis, and practicality. It balances ambition with realism, providing a vision that is both inspiring and achievable. For example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream vision was imaginative, yet deeply rooted in the moral and social realities of his time. His words ignited a movement because they combined possibility with purpose. Vision is also iterative. Leaders refine and adjust their vision as new information emerges. Flexibility does not mean abandoning the core. It means adapting tactics without losing sight of the ultimate destination. Highly effective leaders view obstacles not as failures, but as opportunities to reassess and improve. They maintain steadfastness in their purpose while embracing agility in execution. This dynamic approach ensures vision remains relevant, practical, and achievable, even in the face of changing circumstances. An often overlooked component of clarity of vision is emotional connection. People are more likely to follow a vision they feel, not just understand. Highly effective leaders appeal to the emotions, desires, and aspirations of those around them. They craft visions that resonate with the hopes and dreams of their teams. By connecting emotionally, leaders foster commitment, engagement, and loyalty. Vision becomes more than a statement. It becomes a shared experience, a collective journey towards something meaningful. Practical steps for cultivating clarity of vision include reflection, journaling, consultation with mentors, and visualization exercises. Leaders take time to imagine the ideal future in vivid detail, describing it with precision. They articulate the impact they wish to have, the values that guide them, and the specific outcomes they hope to achieve. This vision is not static. It is revisited regularly, refined, and communicated frequently. Highly effective leaders ensure that their teams not only understand the vision, but also see how their roles contribute to it. Leaders also use vision to inspire action. A clear vision motivates people to go beyond their comfort zones, take initiative, and overcome challenges. When the path is uncertain or the work is difficult, the vision serves as a source of energy and direction. It reminds people why the effort matters, giving purpose to everyday tasks. Vision without action is meaningless, but action guided by vision creates momentum, alignment, and measurable progress. Finally, clarity of vision requires courage. It is not easy to define a future, commit to it, and lead others toward it. Leaders must face uncertainty, criticism, and setbacks. They must remain committed when the journey is difficult. Highly effective leaders draw strength from their vision, using it as a guide, motivator, and anchor. It is this clarity and courage that differentiates leaders who merely manage from those who transform. In summary, clarity of vision is more than seeing the destination. It is understanding the present, imagining a compelling future, aligning with values, communicating effectively, connecting emotionally, and remaining adaptable and courageous. Leaders who cultivate this habit create a foundation for all other aspects of leadership. Vision inspires action, provides focus, builds trust, and fuels resilience. It transforms ordinary management into extraordinary leadership, empowering individuals and teams to achieve outcomes that once seemed impossible. When you embrace clarity of vision, you step into a mindset of intentionality, purpose, and possibility. You no longer drift through decisions or react to circumstances. Instead, You navigate with precision, inspire with conviction, and lead with authenticity. Your vision becomes a compass, a guiding light, and a source of enduring influence. Through reflection, imagination, and disciplined communication, clarity of vision becomes not just a habit, but the very essence of effective leadership, a habit that, once cultivated, transforms your life, your organization, and the people you lead. The second habit is relentless focus on priorities. Leadership is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things. In today's world, filled with constant notifications, endless tasks, and competing demands, the ability to focus on what truly matters separates highly effective leaders from the rest. The second habit of highly effective leaders is relentless focus on priorities, a disciplined approach to time, energy, and attention that ensures progress toward meaningful goals. Many people confuse busyness with productivity. They fill their days with tasks, meetings, and minor decisions, mistaking motion for momentum. Highly effective leaders recognize that not everything deserves equal attention. They understand that resources, time, energy, and attention are finite. Every decision, every meeting, every task must be evaluated against the bigger picture. Focus is the mechanism through which vision becomes reality. Without it, even the clearest vision can remain unrealized, buried beneath distractions and competing demands. The foundation of focus begins with identifying priorities. Leaders who excel at this habit start by asking fundamental questions. Which activities will have the greatest impact? Which tasks align directly with long-term objectives? Which responsibilities, although urgent, are less important in the grand scheme? Highly effective leaders do not simply react to the urgent. They prioritize the important. Stephen Covey, in his classic work on leadership, distinguished between urgent and important tasks. Leaders who master this distinction conserve their energy for what truly advances their mission. Consider the story of Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history. Early in his career, he was asked by his pilot to give him career advice. Buffett handed him a piece of paper and asked him to write down the 20 things he wanted to achieve in life. He then instructed him to circle the top 5. Buffett's advice was clear. Focus relentlessly on the top 5 priorities and avoid everything else. The point is simple. Success comes not from trying to do everything, but from committing to what matters most and avoiding distractions that dilute energy and attention. Highly effective leaders are deliberate about how they spend their time. They plan their days, weeks, and months around their priorities, rather than allowing urgent, low-value tasks to dominate. They block off time for deep work, periods when they can focus on critical projects without interruption. These leaders also protect their attention by minimizing distractions, limiting unnecessary meetings, reducing notifications, and creating environments conducive to concentration. In an age of constant connectivity, this discipline is a superpower. Focus is not merely about saying no to distractions. It is about making choices consciously. Leaders who struggle with focus often try to please everyone, respond to every request, or attend every meeting. In contrast, highly effective leaders evaluate requests against their priorities. They politely decline or delegate tasks that do not align with their most important objectives. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship of time and energy, ensuring that they can give their best where it matters most. An example of this principle in practice can be seen in the life of Jeff Bezos. In Amazon's early days, Bezos made a conscious choice to focus on customer experience above all else. He refused to chase trends, diversify prematurely, or be distracted by short-term gains that did not serve the long-term vision. By prioritizing relentlessly, he built a company that transformed e-commerce and continues to lead through innovation and strategic clarity. Focused leaders recognize that doing less, better, often leads to far greater results than doing more superficially. A key strategy highly effective leaders use is prioritization frameworks. They categorize tasks according to urgency and importance, impact and effort, or alignment with long-term goals. Tools like the Eisenhower Matrix or ABC prioritization help leaders make informed decisions about where to invest time. Prioritization is not a one-time activity. It is a continuous process. Every morning, leaders review their plans, adjust for new developments, and reaffirm what matters most. This habit keeps them aligned with their vision while ensuring progress in the present. Delegation is another essential component of focus. Highly effective leaders recognize that they cannot do everything themselves. They build teams they trust, empowering others to take ownership of responsibilities. Delegation is not abdication. It is strategic allocation of resources. By entrusting capable individuals with tasks, leaders free themselves to concentrate on priorities that only they can execute, tasks that require their unique expertise, judgment, or influence. Delegation also fosters growth and accountability within the team, multiplying impact rather than dividing attention. Focus also involves setting boundaries. Leaders who maintain relentless focus protect themselves from overcommitment and burnout. They set clear limits on meetings, emails, and social obligations. They schedule thinking time for strategic reflection and problem solving. Highly effective leaders understand that their productivity is tied to their energy, and energy is preserved by protecting focus. Boundaries are not rigid constraints. They are tools to safeguard what matters most. An essential part of this habit is learning to resist temptation. In a world filled with novelty, leaders often face distractions that promise short-term gratification or recognition. Highly effective leaders pause, evaluate, and ask, does this serve my top priorities or divert me? This discipline requires courage and self-awareness, especially when distractions seem urgent, exciting, or socially expected. By consistently choosing priorities over impulses, leaders reinforce focus and achieve results that others cannot match. Focus is also deeply connected to emotional intelligence. Highly effective leaders understand the psychological aspect of attention. They recognize when fatigue, stress, or emotional states are interfering with concentration. They take proactive steps, exercise, meditation, rest, or delegation, to maintain clarity and presence. They cultivate mindfulness, staying aware when attention drifts, and gently guiding it back to the priorities that matter most. Focus is not just physical. It is mental, emotional, and cognitive. One practical technique for enhancing focus is the concept of time blocking. Leaders schedule uninterrupted periods for critical work, creating a protected space where priorities take precedence over interruptions. During these blocks, distractions are minimized, decisions are made deliberately, and progress accelerates. Time blocking transforms vague intentions into concrete action, ensuring that priorities receive the attention they deserve. Another key aspect is simplification. Highly effective leaders avoid unnecessary complexity in their tasks, processes, and goals. They break down large objectives into manageable steps, creating clarity about what must be done and when. By simplifying, they reduce cognitive load, minimize errors, and make consistent progress. Complexity can overwhelm and paralyze action. Simplicity creates momentum. Leaders also regularly reassess their priorities. They understand that what is critical today may be less important tomorrow. They review outcomes, learn from experience, and adjust plans as necessary. This flexibility does not compromise focus. Instead, it ensures that attention remains aligned with meaningful objectives. Highly effective leaders combine discipline with adaptability, maintaining focus while remaining responsive to change. Consider the story of Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. When he assumed leadership, the company faced stagnation in some areas and needed transformation. Nadella focused relentlessly on priorities, cloud computing, AI, and cultural transformation, while divesting from initiatives that did not serve the core vision. By concentrating attention and resources on a few critical areas, he revitalized the company, proving the transformative power of focused leadership. Focus is also about consistency. Highly effective leaders cultivate habits that reinforce priority-driven action every day. They begin each day with a clear plan, end each day with reflection, and maintain routines that support sustained attention. This consistency compounds over time, creating remarkable results that appear effortless to outsiders but are rooted in deliberate focus. Relentless focus on priorities also builds credibility. Teams notice when a leader consistently works on what matters most rather than chasing distractions or reacting impulsively. This clarity builds trust, inspires commitment, and reinforces alignment. People follow leaders who lead with purpose, not those who are perpetually busy but directionless. Focus communicates intentionality and competence, both of which are essential to effective leadership. Highly effective leaders also use focus to manage crises. When problems arise, They prioritize decisively, identifying the most critical issues first. They allocate resources and attention where they will have the greatest impact. This calm, intentional focus under pressure differentiates leaders who succeed in adversity from those who flounder. By maintaining attention on high-priority tasks, leaders guide their teams with clarity and confidence, even in turbulent times. Finally, relentless focus is a mindset, not merely a technique. It requires self-discipline, courage, and self-awareness. Leaders must resist the pull of distractions, evaluate each opportunity through the lens of the priorities, and commit to long-term impact over short-term gratification. They recognize that true effectiveness is not measured by the quantity of tasks completed, but by the significance of outcomes achieved. In summary, relentless focus on priorities is a habit that turns vision into action. It involves identifying what matters most, protecting attention, delegating wisely, setting boundaries, simplifying tasks, time blocking, resisting distraction, and maintaining consistency. Leaders who master this habit create momentum, achieve extraordinary results, and inspire their teams to do the same. Focus is not easy. It requires discipline, reflection, and courage, but it is a defining habit of highly effective leaders. When you cultivate this habit, you learn to invest your energy where it matters most, avoid wasted effort, and make meaningful progress toward your vision. Your choices become deliberate, your actions intentional, and your influence magnified. Through relentless focus on priorities, you transform potential into achievement, chaos into clarity, and vision into reality. This habit, like all others, compounds over time, shaping not only your effectiveness as a leader, but also the lives of those you lead and the legacy you leave behind. The third habit is emotional intelligence, or EQ. Leadership is not just about strategy, execution, or vision. At its core, leadership is about people. Highly effective leaders understand that the way they connect, communicate, and respond to others determines their influence far more than technical skills alone. The third habit of highly effective leaders is emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions while also perceiving and influencing the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence, often called EQ, is the secret ingredient that transforms a competent manager into a remarkable leader. Emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. Leaders who are highly self-aware understand their strengths, weaknesses, triggers, and motivations. They reflect on their behavior, recognizing how it affects others. Without self-awareness, even the most talented leader can act impulsively, react emotionally, or unknowingly create tension within a team. Highly effective leaders pause before responding, asking themselves, "Why am I feeling this? What impact will my words or actions have?" This reflection allows them to respond thoughtfully rather than react reflexively. Consider the story of Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks. Schultz often spoke about the emotional dimension of leadership, emphasizing empathy and understanding. Early in his career, he realized that his decisions affected not just profits, but people's lives, the baristas, employees, and customers. By recognizing his own emotions and the emotional climate of his organization, he made decisions that were both compassionate and strategic. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence because it enables leaders to lead with clarity, authenticity, and intention. The second pillar of emotional intelligence is self-regulation. Highly effective leaders control their impulses, manage stress, and maintain composure even in challenging situations. Leadership is filled with pressure, unexpected crises, and conflicting demands. Leaders who lack self-regulation may lash out, make hasty decisions, or allow emotions to cloud judgment. In contrast, leaders who master this skill respond calmly, assess situations rationally, and maintain credibility. Their teams feel safe, supported, and confident that decisions will be thoughtful and balanced. An example can be seen in Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. During crises, she displayed remarkable calm and empathy, addressing the nation with sincerity, clarity, and composure. Her ability to manage her own emotions while responding to the collective emotional state of her citizens strengthened trust, inspired action, and fostered unity. Emotional regulation does not mean suppressing emotions. It means channeling them productively and leading by example. The third component of emotional intelligence is empathy, the ability to perceive and understand the emotions of others. Highly effective leaders tune into the feelings, concerns, and motivations of their team members. They listen actively, ask thoughtful questions, and respond in ways that demonstrate care and understanding. Empathy builds trust, strengthens relationships, and creates an environment where people feel valued. Leaders who lack empathy may struggle to inspire loyalty or collaboration, as their teams feel unseen or unheard. Take Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, as an example. When he assumed leadership, he emphasized empathy as a core principle of the company culture. He encouraged leaders to understand the challenges and aspirations of employees, customers, and partners. This focus on emotional awareness led to a more inclusive, innovative, and collaborative culture. Empathy is not a soft skill. It is a strategic advantage. Leaders who cultivate empathy can anticipate needs, resolve conflicts, and motivate people in ways that align with both personal and organizational goals. Another crucial aspect of emotional intelligence is social skills. Effective leaders use their emotional awareness to build strong relationships, influence outcomes, and navigate organizational dynamics. Social skills include clear communication, conflict resolution, collaboration, and the ability to inspire and motivate others. Leaders who excel in this area create a positive climate, foster engagement, and generate alignment around shared goals. They are adept at building coalitions, encouraging participation, and guiding teams toward collective success. Consider Oprah Winfrey, whose emotional intelligence has been central to her leadership. Her ability to connect authentically with people, understand their emotions, and respond thoughtfully has enabled her to build influence, trust, and lasting relationships. Social skills amplify the impact of vision and strategy by ensuring that people feel seen, heard, and motivated to contribute. Leadership is not executed in isolation. It is relational, and social skills are the bridge between individual influence and collective achievement. Highly effective leaders also use emotional intelligence to navigate conflict. Conflict is inevitable in any organization, but leaders with high EQ approach disagreements constructively. They remain calm, seek to understand all perspectives, and guide conversations toward resolution rather than escalation. They focus on interests rather than positions, creating solutions that satisfy both people and organizational objectives. By managing conflict effectively, leaders prevent toxic dynamics, maintain trust, and foster collaboration. Emotional intelligence also enhances decision-making. Leaders who are emotionally aware consider not only the data and strategy, but also the human impact of their choices. They recognize how decisions will affect morale, motivation, and engagement. By integrating emotional awareness into decision-making, leaders make choices that are not only effective but also sustainable. Emotional intelligence ensures that decisions resonate with people, creating alignment and commitment rather than resistance. A practical way to cultivate emotional intelligence is through mindfulness. Leaders who practice mindfulness develop awareness of their thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. They notice patterns of behavior, emotional triggers, and automatic responses. Mindfulness creates space between stimulus and reaction, enabling leaders to choose deliberate responses rather than reactive ones. Regular reflection, journaling, or meditation enhances self-awareness and emotional regulation, providing a foundation for all aspects of EQ. Another technique is active listening. Highly effective leaders listen not just to words, but to tone, body language, and underlying emotions. They ask clarifying questions, summarize understanding, and acknowledge feelings. This practice fosters trust, reduces misunderstandings, and strengthens relationships. Listening is not passive. It is an active, intentional skill that demonstrates respect and engagement. Leaders who master listening inspire loyalty and collaboration. Leaders also cultivate empathy by putting themselves in the shoes of others. They imagine the challenges, pressures, and aspirations of team members, customers, and stakeholders. This perspective taking allows leaders to anticipate needs, offer support, and create meaningful connections. Empathy is especially critical during times of change, stress, or uncertainty, when people are most vulnerable and in need of reassurance and guidance. Emotional intelligence also includes self-motivation. Highly effective leaders maintain energy, focus, and optimism, even in the face of setbacks. They channel emotions toward constructive action, sustaining momentum toward long-term goals. Self-motivation inspires teams, as leaders model perseverance, resilience, and commitment. Leaders who can regulate their own emotions and maintain focus serve as stabilizing forces, providing confidence and direction to others. Consider the example of Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany. Merkel's calm, rational, and empathetic approach allowed her to lead effectively during multiple crises, from financial instability to global health emergencies. Her ability to regulate emotions, understand the concerns of citizens and colleagues, and maintain composure under pressure exemplifies emotional intelligence in action. Her leadership demonstrates that EQ is not a soft skill. It is essential for influencing, motivating, and achieving impact. Highly effective leaders also use emotional intelligence to foster a positive organizational culture. They model respectful communication, recognize achievements, and address challenges with fairness and empathy. Emotional intelligence helps leaders create environments where people feel safe to express ideas, take risks, and innovate. When leaders cultivate EQ, the culture of trust, collaboration, and engagement spreads throughout the organization, magnifying the leader's influence and accelerating results. Emotional intelligence is not innate. It is a skill that can be developed. Leaders practice self-awareness through reflection, mindfulness, and feedback. They strengthen empathy by actively listening, observing, and considering perspectives. They enhance social skills by building relationships, communicating effectively, and resolving conflicts constructively. Over time, these practices create a leader who can inspire, motivate, and influence at a profound level. Finally, emotional intelligence amplifies the impact of the other leadership habits. A clear vision without emotional connection may fail to inspire. Focus on priorities without empathy may alienate teams. Continuous learning without social skills may isolate a leader. Resilience without emotional awareness may appear stubborn rather than courageous. EQ integrates and magnifies all other leadership qualities, ensuring that influence is not only strategic, but also relational, sustainable, and deeply human. In summary, emotional intelligence is a habit that allows leaders to connect with people, understand emotions, manage their own responses, and navigate complex human dynamics. It includes self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, social skills, and self-motivation. Leaders who cultivate emotional intelligence build trust, inspire loyalty, enhance collaboration, and achieve sustainable impact. EQ transforms competence into influence, vision into alignment, and strategy into meaningful results. When you embrace emotional intelligence, you step into leadership with awareness, empathy, and purpose. You learn to navigate relationships skillfully, inspire teams authentically, and respond to challenges thoughtfully. Emotional intelligence is not optional. It is essential for highly effective leaders. Through reflection, practice, and consistent application, EQ becomes a core habit that shapes your leadership, your organization, and the people you influence. The fourth habit is continuous learning. Leadership is not static. The world is changing faster than ever. Technologies evolve, markets shift, people's expectations grow, and challenges become increasingly complex. Leaders who rest on their past achievements risk falling behind. Highly effective leaders embrace the habit of continuous learning. They recognize that growth is a lifelong pursuit and that to remain effective, they must constantly expand their knowledge, skills, and perspectives. Continuous learning is not just about acquiring information. It is about applying insights, adapting, and evolving. The journey of continuous learning begins with curiosity. Highly effective leaders are naturally curious. They ask questions, seek to understand, and challenge assumptions. They view the world with an inquisitive mind, eager to discover new ways of thinking, working, and solving problems. Curiosity drives exploration, opening doors to innovative ideas and alternative solutions. It prevents complacency and fuels growth. Leaders who lack curiosity often repeat patterns, resist change, and fail to anticipate challenges. Curiosity is the spark that ignites the lifelong pursuit of knowledge. Consider the story of Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft. Despite building one of the world's most successful companies, Gates is famously known for his Think Weeks, during which he isolates himself to read, reflect, and explore new ideas. He constantly seeks to learn, whether about science, technology, global health, or economics. This dedication to curiosity and learning keeps him at the forefront of innovation and allows him to make impactful decisions long after achieving massive success. Continuous learning ensures leaders remain adaptable, informed, and visionary. Highly effective leaders also cultivate a growth mindset. They believe that intelligence, skills, and abilities are not fixed traits, but can be developed through effort, practice, and reflection. This mindset enables leaders to embrace challenges, persist through setbacks, and view failures as opportunities to learn rather than threats to competence. Leaders with a fixed mindset may avoid risks, resist feedback, and stagnate. In contrast, leaders who prioritize learning see every experience, success, and failure as a chance to grow. A vivid example of a growth mindset in leadership can be found in Reed Hastings, co-founder of Netflix. Hastings constantly challenged assumptions about media consumption and technology, transforming Netflix from a DVD rental service into a global streaming powerhouse. He viewed failures as experiments, embraced feedback, and encouraged innovation across the company. This mindset created a culture where learning, adaptation, and experimentation were not only accepted but celebrated. Highly effective leaders create an environment where learning is valued and embedded into the organizational DNA. Continuous learning is not limited to formal education. While degrees, certification, and courses are valuable, highly effective leaders understand that real learning happens through experience, reflection, and interaction with others. They seek mentors, attend conferences, read widely, experiment, and engage in meaningful conversations. Learning is woven into daily routines. It is deliberate, intentional, and consistent. Leaders who commit to continuous learning treat every challenge as a teacher, every interaction as a lesson, and every mistake as a stepping stone toward mastery. Feedback is another critical element of continuous learning. Highly effective leaders actively seek feedback from peers, team members, mentors, and even competitors. They view feedback not as criticism, but as a source of insight for growth. By listening openly, asking clarifying questions, and reflecting on constructive input, leaders identify blind spots, refine their approach, and enhance their effectiveness. Feedback loops accelerate learning, enabling leaders to adapt quickly and avoid repeating errors. Consider Satya Nadella once again, who transformed Microsoft by fostering a culture of learning and feedback. He emphasized curiosity, encouraged employees to experiment, and created safe spaces for dialogue and reflection. Leaders who value feedback model humility and growth, inspiring their teams to embrace learning as a shared commitment. Continuous learning is not a solitary pursuit. It is a collaborative process that strengthens both the leader and the organization. Reading is one of the most powerful tools for continuous learning. Highly effective leaders are voracious readers, exploring topics beyond their immediate field. They study history, psychology, science, philosophy, and biographies of other leaders. Reading expands perspectives, deepens understanding, and provides insights that can be applied in novel ways. Leaders who limit themselves to their industry or comfort zone risk narrow thinking, while those who read widely cultivate adaptability, creativity, and wisdom. Practical application of knowledge is equally important. Learning without action is incomplete. Highly effective leaders translate new insights into decisions, strategies, and behaviors. They experiment with ideas, test hypotheses, and refine approaches based on outcomes. Continuous learning is therefore an active process. It integrates knowledge, reflection, and execution. Leaders who learn and act simultaneously accelerate both personal and organizational growth. Highly effective leaders also learn from failures and setbacks. Mistakes are inevitable, but leaders with a learning mindset view them as opportunities. They analyze what went wrong, identify lessons, and implement changes to prevent repetition. Thomas Edison famously said that he did not fail 10,000 times in inventing the light bulb. He discovered 10,000 ways that did not work. Leaders who embrace this perspective cultivate resilience, innovation, and continuous improvement. Failure becomes a teacher rather than a source of discouragement. Mentorship is another critical tool for continuous learning. Highly effective leaders seek guidance from those with experience, insight, and wisdom. They value diverse perspectives, recognizing that learning from others' successes and mistakes accelerates growth. Mentorship is not limited to receiving guidance. Effective leaders also mentor others, reinforcing their own learning while empowering the next generation. This cycle of learning, teaching, and reflection creates a culture where knowledge and growth are continuously shared. Highly effective leaders also prioritize reflection. They set aside time to review decisions, outcomes, and experiences, asking, What did I learn? What worked well? What could I do differently next time? Reflection transforms experience into wisdom, enabling leaders to apply lessons in real time. Without reflection, learning is superficial and mistakes may be repeated. Leaders who reflect consistently deepen their understanding, refine their judgment, and enhance their impact. Technology offers additional opportunities for continuous learning. Highly effective leaders leverage online courses, webinars, podcasts, and digital communities to expand their knowledge. They stay informed about trends, innovations, and best practices across industries. Leaders who ignore technological advancements risk falling behind, while those who embrace them gain insights that inform strategy, decision-making, and competitive advantage. Continuous learning is dynamic. It evolves with the world around the leader. Another aspect of learning is embracing diverse perspectives. Highly effective leaders seek out viewpoints that challenge their assumptions and broaden their understanding. They surround themselves with people from different backgrounds, industries, and experiences. Diversity of thought stimulates innovation, enhances problem-solving, and strengthens decision-making. Leaders who remain insulated from different perspectives limit growth, while those who embrace diversity cultivate a more adaptable, resilient, and creative approach. Highly effective leaders also cultivate curiosity in their teams. They encourage experimentation, reward innovation, and normalize learning from mistakes. By modeling continuous learning themselves, they inspire a culture where knowledge, growth, and improvement are valued. Leaders create environments where employees feel safe to explore, question, and develop, ultimately multiplying the organization's capacity for learning and adaptation. Self-directed learning is a hallmark of highly effective leaders. They take ownership of their development rather than waiting for training programs or external guidance. They identify gaps, seek resources, set learning goals, and measure progress. This proactive approach ensures growth is intentional, consistent, and aligned with both personal and organizational objectives. Leadership is not passive. It is an active pursuit of mastery, fueled by curiosity, reflection, and application. Highly effective leaders also balance learning with action. They avoid the trap of endless research or analysis without execution. Learning is not an end in itself. It is a means to improve decisions, strategies, and outcomes. Leaders integrate insights into practice, evaluate results, and continue the cycle of learning. This dynamic balance of knowledge and action creates momentum, adaptability, and measurable impact. Consider the example of Elon Musk again. Musk's continuous learning spans multiple fields: physics, engineering, artificial intelligence, and business strategy. He reads extensively, experiments relentlessly, and applies knowledge to real-world problems. This dedication to learning enables him to innovate across industries, from electric vehicles to space exploration. Continuous learning empowers leaders to remain relevant, creative, and impactful, regardless of prior success. Finally, continuous learning fosters humility. Leaders who embrace learning acknowledge that they do not have all the answers. They remain open to new ideas, admit mistakes, and seek guidance. Humility strengthens credibility, builds trust, and creates a culture where learning is normalized. Leaders who stop learning become rigid, disconnected, and less effective, while those who commit to growth inspire continuous improvement throughout the organization. In summary, continuous learning is a habit that keeps leaders adaptable, informed, and visionary. It includes curiosity, a growth mindset, reflection, mentorship, feedback, application, and openness to diverse perspectives. Leaders who prioritize learning transform challenges into opportunities, failures into lessons, and experience into wisdom. Continuous learning fuels innovation, strengthens decision-making, enhances relationships, and ensures long-term effectiveness. When you embrace continuous learning, you commit to growth, curiosity, and reflection as daily practices. You recognize that leadership is a journey, not a destination. Each experience, conversation, and challenge becomes a lesson. Your knowledge deepens, your skills sharpen, and your influence expands. Continuous learning is not optional for highly effective leaders. It is a habit that sustains excellence, drives innovation, and ensures a lasting impact on people, organizations, and the world. The fifth habit is resilience. Leadership is a journey filled with challenges, setbacks, and uncertainty. Even the most visionary, focused, and emotionally intelligent leaders will encounter obstacles that test their resolve. The fifth habit of highly effective leaders is resilience, the ability to recover from difficulties, adapt to change, and persist in pursuit of goals despite adversity. Resilience is not a trait one is simply born with. It is a habit cultivated through mindset, practice, and deliberate action. Resilience begins with perspective. Highly effective leaders view challenges not as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities to grow, learn, and innovate. They understand that setbacks are an inevitable part of any meaningful pursuit. Instead of being defeated, they ask, what can I learn from this situation? How can I respond constructively? This mindset shifts the focus from failure to adaptation, turning obstacles into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, whose invention of the light bulb is legendary. Edison faced thousands of failed experiments before finding a design that worked. Rather than giving up, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's resilience was rooted in his perspective. Every failure was information. Every setback was progress toward success. Highly effective leaders adopt the same mindset, viewing adversity as a teacher rather than a threat. Emotional regulation is a key component of resilience. Leaders inevitably face stressful situations, criticism, and disappointment. Resilient leaders manage their emotions effectively, preventing frustration, fear, or anger from dictating their decisions. Emotional regulation allows leaders to remain calm, think clearly, and respond strategically under pressure. Teams notice and mirror this stability. When leaders are composed, the entire organization operates more confidently and effectively. One vivid example is Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand. During crises such as the Christchurch attacks and the COVID-19 pandemic, Ardern demonstrated remarkable resilience by maintaining emotional composure, responding with empathy, and taking decisive action. Her ability to navigate extreme stress with poise inspired trust, mobilized her team, and strengthened the nation's response. Resilience does not mean the absence of emotion. It means mastery over how emotion is expressed and channeled. Highly effective leaders also cultivate mental flexibility. Resilience requires the ability to adapt to changing circumstances, embrace uncertainty, and pivot strategies when necessary. Leaders who are rigid or resistant to change are more likely to falter in the face of adversity. In contrast, resilient leaders view change as an opportunity to innovate, experiment, and improve. They anticipate potential disruptions and prepare contingency plans, ensuring they can navigate challenges without losing momentum. A practical strategy for building resilience is reframing challenges. Highly effective leaders consciously reinterpret setbacks as opportunity for growth. A failed project becomes a lesson in strategy, communication, or execution. Criticism becomes insight into blind spots. Disappointment becomes motivation to improve. By reframing adversity, leaders transform the emotional impact of failure into constructive energy, creating a mindset that is both proactive and solution-oriented. Another critical element of resilience is perseverance. Highly effective leaders are persistent in pursuit of their vision, goals, and priorities. They do not abandon objectives at the first sign of difficulty. Instead, they maintain steady effort, even when progress seems slow or obstacles appear overwhelming. Perseverance is fueled by clarity of vision, commitment to priorities, and belief in the value of the goal. It is a combination of discipline and determination that allows leaders to endure and succeed where others give up. Consider the journey of Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, Mandela faced unimaginable adversity. Yet he remained committed to his vision of a free and united South Africa. He persevered with patience, resilience, and strategic thinking, emerging not only as a political leader, but as a global symbol of endurance, forgiveness, and moral courage. Mandela's story exemplifies how resilience combines inner strength, clarity of purpose, and unwavering commitment to make extraordinary impact. Highly effective leaders also build resilience through preparation. They anticipate challenges, develop contingency plans, and strengthen skills before crises occur. Preparation does not eliminate adversity, but it equips leaders with the tools, confidence, and strategies needed to respond effectively. Leaders who prepare consistently are more adaptable, decisive, and composed when unexpected challenges arise. Preparation transforms uncertainty from a threat into an opportunity for measured action. Support networks play a vital role in resilience. Leaders who cultivate strong relationships with mentors, peers, and team members can draw on support, guidance, and encouragement during difficult times. Resilient leaders know when to ask for help, listen to advice, and share challenges rather than attempting to face adversity alone. Support networks provide perspective, reassurance, and resources, amplify a leader's capacity to endure and thrive. Resilient leaders also practice self-care. Physical, mental, and emotional well-being directly impact the ability to withstand stress and maintain performance under pressure. Highly effective leaders prioritize rest, exercise, healthy nutrition, and mental rejuvenation. They recognize that sustained performance requires energy and vitality. Self-care is not indulgence. It is strategic, ensuring leaders remain capable, focused, and resilient over the long term. Another key aspect of resilience is learning from failure. Highly effective leaders analyze setbacks objectively, identifying what went wrong and what could be improved. They extract lessons from every experience and integrate those insights into future action. Resilience is strengthened not by avoiding failure, but by using it as a catalyst for growth. Leaders who embrace learning from failure develop agility, insight, and innovation, turning challenges into stepping stones for success. Highly effective leaders also cultivate optimism. Resilience is fueled by the belief that challenges are temporary, solutions exist, and effort will yield results. Optimism does not imply ignoring reality. It means maintaining hope and confidence while taking proactive steps. Leaders who exude optimism inspire confidence in their teams, creating an environment where people persist, innovate, and collaborate even under pressure. Optimism is contagious. It motivates action and strengthens collective resilience. Decision-making under pressure is another critical component of resilience. Highly effective leaders can analyze complex situations, weigh risks, and make timely decisions even when outcomes are uncertain. They accept that not every decision will be perfect, but they act decisively, adapt, and learn along the way. Indecision or hesitation can amplify challenges, while resilient leaders convert uncertainty into strategic action, maintaining momentum and confidence. Resilience is also strengthened through reflection and gratitude. Leaders who take time to reflect on progress, acknowledge achievements, and appreciate support cultivate a balanced perspective. Reflection enables insight, while gratitude fosters emotional strength and motivation. These practices reinforce mental and emotional resilience, helping leaders endure challenges without losing perspective or purpose. Highly effective leaders also model resilience for their teams. They demonstrate how to respond constructively to adversity, adapt to change, and maintain commitment to priorities. By modeling resilience, leaders create a culture where challenges are met with courage, learning, and persistence rather than fear, blame, or defeat. This collective resilience amplifies organizational performance, engagement, and alignment. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling, who faced repeated rejection before publishing the Harry Potter series. Her persistence, emotional strength, and ability to learn from setbacks exemplify resilience. She overcame personal, financial, and professional challenges, ultimately achieving extraordinary impact. Leaders who cultivate resilience inspire similar perseverance and determination in those they lead. Resilience also involves embracing uncertainty. Highly effective leaders understand that uncertainty is inevitable, especially in complex, dynamic environments. Instead of being paralyzed by ambiguity, they remain flexible, agile, and proactive. They make decisions with incomplete information, adapt strategies as conditions evolve, and maintain focus on long-term goals. Resilience transforms uncertainty from a source of fear into an opportunity for creative problem-solving. Highly effective leaders strengthen resilience through mindset training. They cultivate patience, emotional balance, and perspective. They practice reframing challenges, maintaining optimism, and focusing on controllable factors. They recognize that adversity tests character as much as skill, and they commit to personal growth as a strategic advantage. Mindset is a lens through which challenges are interpreted. Resilient leaders maintain a lens of possibility, learning, and determination. Finally, resilience is about consistency. Highly effective leaders persist over time, sustaining effort, energy, and focus even when results are delayed. They avoid short-term reactions that compromise long-term objectives. They maintain routines, habits, and practices that support endurance and strength. Consistency in behavior, response, and effort reinforces resilience, enabling leaders to navigate adversity with confidence and composure. In summary, resilience is a habit that enables leaders to endure, adapt, and thrive in the face of challenges. It involves perspective, emotional regulation, adaptability, perseverance, preparation, support networks, self-care, learning from failure, optimism, decision-making under pressure, reflection, and modeling resilience for others. Highly effective leaders cultivate resilience deliberately, understanding that adversity is inevitable, but how they respond determines impact, influence, and success. When you embrace resilience, you step into leadership with courage, adaptability, and unwavering commitment. You transform setbacks into lessons, challenges into opportunities, and pressure into growth. Resilience is not optional. It is a habit that sustains all other leadership qualities, ensuring that vision, focus, emotional intelligence, and learning translate into lasting results. Through deliberate practice, reflection, and action, resilience becomes a cornerstone of highly effective leadership, empowering you to navigate uncertainty, inspire your teams, and leave a lasting legacy. These 5 habits, clarity of vision, focus on priorities, emotional intelligence, continuous learning, and resilience, form the foundation of extraordinary leadership. But habits alone are not enough. Effective leaders weave these habits into routines, mindsets, and the culture they nurture. Consider how vision without focus can become wishful thinking, or how learning without resilience can lead to discouragement. The interplay of these habits creates a force that drives personal growth and organizational excellence. Leadership is a journey, not a destination. Each day presents new challenges, opportunities, and decisions that test your abilities and values. The habits we've explored are not rigid rules. They are guiding principles that shape your actions, your choices, and ultimately your impact. When these habits are practiced consistently, they compound, creating momentum that carries you forward even when circumstances are difficult or uncertain. Clarity of vision is your compass. It points the way when the path is unclear and provides a reference against which all decisions can be measured. Focus on priorities ensures that your energy, time, and resources are invested where they matter most, preventing you from being pulled in directions that dilute your impact. Emotional intelligence allows you to connect authentically, understand others, and build trust, the glue that holds teams and organizations together. Continuous learning keeps your mind sharp, adaptable, and prepared to navigate the ever-changing landscape of leadership. And resilience provides the inner strength to endure, recover, and keep moving forward when obstacles arise. But beyond understanding these habits intellectually, the real power comes from integration. Imagine a leader who has a brilliant vision but lacks focus. They may start multiple initiatives, chase trends, or react impulsively to every urgent matter. Their teams may become confused or overextended, and progress may be fragmented. Now imagine the same leader with clarity of vision and relentless focus on priorities. Suddenly, every action aligns with purpose. Energy is directed efficiently. Teams move in concert toward meaningful goals. Results are not only achieved, they are amplified. Similarly, consider emotional intelligence in isolation. A leader may be highly empathetic, understanding, and socially aware, but without resilience, they might be overwhelmed by challenges or setbacks. Their teams may feel supported, but the leader's capacity to navigate adversity is limited. When emotional intelligence is paired with resilience, the leader not only understands and connects with their team, but also models perseverance, composure, and courage. The combination inspires confidence, loyalty, and collective strength. Continuous learning is another habit that gains power when intertwined with the others. Knowledge without focus or application can become theoretical and disconnected from results. Learning without vision may lead to fragmented skill acquisition. Learning without resilience may produce frustration or discouragement. Highly effective leaders integrate continuous learning with vision, focus, emotional intelligence, and resilience to turn knowledge into action, insight into strategy, and experience into wisdom. The beauty of these habits lies in their synergy. They reinforce one another, creating a holistic leadership approach that is adaptable, strategic, and deeply human. Vision guides focus. Focus enhances the application of learning. Emotional intelligence strengthens relationships and inspires collaboration. Resilience sustains effort and fosters adaptability. Together, these habits create leaders who not only achieve objectives but also cultivate cultures, nurture talent, and leave lasting impact. Yet, it is important to remember that leadership is not about perfection. Even the most accomplished leaders stumble, make mistakes, and face moments of doubt. What distinguishes highly effective leaders is not the absence of failure, but the presence of deliberate habits that guide their response. Each habit acts as a stabilizing force, a lens through which challenges are interpreted, decisions are made, and growth is pursued. When faced with uncertainty, leaders lean on these habits to remain grounded, focused, and purposeful. Integration also extends beyond personal habits to organizational culture. Leaders who embody these practices set the tone for the teams they lead. Clarity of vision inspires shared purpose. Focus on priorities encourages disciplined execution. Emotional intelligence fosters trust, collaboration, and inclusion. Continuous learning promotes curiosity, innovation, and adaptability. Resilience models courage, perseverance, and optimism. In this way, habits ripple outward, influencing behaviors, norms, and values throughout the organization. Another crucial aspect is reflection. Highly effective leaders take time to pause, review, and assess how well their habits are serving their goals and values. Reflection is the bridge between knowledge and wisdom. It allows leaders to celebrate successes, identify areas for growth, and adjust strategies before minor issues become significant problems. Reflection ensures that habits are not practiced mechanically, but are applied thoughtfully, with intention and purpose. Action is equally critical. Knowledge of these habits is insufficient without consistent application. Leadership is tested in the choices we make, the risks we take, and the responses we give when challenges arise. Each decision is an opportunity to practice clarity, focus, empathy, learning, and resilience. Over time, repeated actions become patterns, and patterns become identity. Your habits define not only how you lead, but who you become as a leader. It is also worth noting that leadership is deeply relational. The habits we cultivate do not exist in isolation. They affect how others perceive, follow, and are inspired by us. Teams notice when leaders are purposeful, focused, empathetic, adaptable, and steadfast. These habits build credibility and influence, enabling leaders to guide effectively, motivate action, and foster alignment. Leadership, therefore, is both inward and outward. It requires self-mastery and relational mastery simultaneously. As you move forward, consider these habits not as abstract concepts, but as practical tools for daily leadership. Begin each day with clarity of vision. Remind yourself of the outcomes you seek and the impact you wish to create. Prioritize ruthlessly. Allocate time and energy where it counts most. Practice emotional awareness. Check in with your own emotions and emotions of those around you. Commit to learning. Seek new knowledge. Reflect on experiences and apply insights. Build resilience. Anticipate challenges. Embrace setbacks as lessons and maintain persistence. Remember that leadership is a continuous journey of growth and impact. No single habit guarantees success. It is their deliberate integration, consistent application, and mindful reflection that create extraordinary leadership. Habits, when nurtured over time, compound into results that are greater than the sum of their parts. Vision becomes strategy. Focus becomes progress. Emotional intelligence becomes influence. Learning becomes wisdom. Resilience becomes endurance. Together, they form a foundation of leadership excellence. In conclusion, the path to highly effective leadership is not about shortcuts or instant mastery. It is about the deliberate cultivation of habits that shape actions, decisions, and mindset. It is about integrating vision, focus, emotional intelligence, learning, and resilience into a cohesive approach that drives personal growth and organizational success. These habits are your tools, your compass, and your anchor in the dynamic world of leadership. As you reflect on your own leadership journey, ask yourself, how well am I practicing these habits today? Where can I improve? How can I integrate them more fully into my routines, decisions, and interactions? Leadership is not a static achievement. It is a practice, a habit, and a way of being. By committing to these 5 habits, you not only enhance your own effectiveness, but also create a ripple effect that elevates your team, your organization, and the people you serve. Ultimately, The leaders who leave the most profound and lasting impact are not those with the most resources, titles, or intelligence. They are the leaders who embody habits that align purpose with action, empathy with strategy, learning with execution, and persistence with vision. They are the leaders who embrace growth, cultivate resilience, and inspire others to rise alongside them. Leadership excellence is a journey, and these 5 habits are your guide. The choice is yours. Will you merely wish for greatness, or will you practice it daily? Will you let challenges define you, or will you let habits shape you? The journey of leadership awaits, and the path is clear. Cultivate clarity, focus on priorities, connect with emotional intelligence, embrace continuous learning, and strengthen resilience. In doing so, you do more than lead, you transform, inspire, and leave a legacy that endures.